Hello, today we're going to be replacing this old toilet with this new toilet. Now, I saw a sign at the hardware store that said you can have your toilet installed starting at $149. Well, that's as much as the new toilet cost, and where I'm from that just ain't right. So hopefully with this video you can install your own toilet. When you disconnect your existing toilet, be sure to have a bowl handy to catch water and a towel for cleaning up spills. Make sure it's an old one so your wife doesn't get mad at you. First, shut off the water to the toilet by turning the valve so that it is not in line with the way the water would run. Before you unhook the water line from your old toilet, you want to be sure and empty the tank. So manually, just pull up the stopper and let the water drain out. To remove your old toilet from the floor, you're going to probably have to remove some little white caps, and then you'll just use a wrench to undo the nut on the bolts. Once you've undone the bolts between the toilet and the ground, you're ready to lift the toilet straight up, and if it's convenient you want to put it right into a bathtub because a lot of water will be coming out. Now here we Okay, that's wet. Okay, we'll leave it in the bathtub for a little bit and then we'll shake it around later to drain the rest of the water out before we take it outside to discard it. If you were in China, you would just leave it like this, or at least from the pictures I've seen, there's just holes in the ground. But here in the US, we like to have a nice porcelain throne to sit on. Now, before we get too far with the new toilet, we need to remove the old wax ring. And unless you're into touching things like this with your bare hands, I recommend getting a grocery bag. You'll need to get an old putty knife and use it to lift pieces of it up and put in your grocery sack. And you'll just do that. Work your way around. There we go. And you'll take your scraper and get the rest out. Be careful to not let the wax fall down into the pipe there. I got the flange all scraped fairly well from the old wax with my putty knife, and now I'm going to replace the old bolts that are there with the new bolts that came with the new toilet, because it's just better to, when you're going to go new all the way around. And so I'm going to take off these nuts from the bolts and slide in these new ones. There we go. So you slide them in and then rotate them 90 degrees. And then you are ready to put this piece on them. I added a couple screws to my flange, these two green ones, and it snugged it up against the floor a lot better. Now we're past kind of the gross stuff and we can move on to handling the new toilet supplies. So first we're going to put the wax ring on the bottom of the toilet with the black end up. Then you want to press down firmly on it. Once the wax ring is on the toilet, you're going to turn it right side up, still keep beating it off the floor, and then drop it onto the drain, making sure that these holes in the bottom of the toilet line up with the two bolts you have sticking up out of the ground. When you first put the toilet onto the ground, the wax wing might be keeping it off the floor a little bit, and so you're just going to push straight down and make that watertight seal. around the drain. I should add, when you are pushing the toilet down onto the ground and smashing the wax ring, make sure to push down evenly so that it smashes out under your toilet evenly. There are these white caps that go on to make it pretty. To put your rubber gasket there on top of the bowl. Slide your tank so that the bolts underneath line up with the two holes on the back of the tank. They should drop in there nice and smooth. Okay, this toilet came with a little tool to tighten the bolts, applying the bowl to the tank. You can just slide the nut and washer there, and then this plastic one goes on top. And we're going to use this underneath the tank there to catch our metal bolts. You can have that'll be coming through that hole right there. Okay, you can see there that I caught the nut onto the bolt by hand, and then I'm going to use the tool that came with it to tighten it. And you should be doing a little bit on each side so that it can tighten evenly. Lastly, we need to connect our water line to the bottom of the new toilet. Oh, we're gonna just thread that on. Believe it or not, it's Valentine's Day, and my wife has been asking for me to replace this old toilet for about 3 years now. So you can get your wife a bouquet, or you can get her a new toilet.